Jonesy the cat was the pet of the crew of the USCSS Nostromo and lived aboard, helping keep the crew company and keeping their morale up, as well as eliminating any rodents or small stowaways aboard the ship. However, not many people are aware of the secret origin of this furry little infiltrator, but today I will be removing the veil of ignorance from many of our eyes and explaining the true nature of the cat Jonesy. Nicknamed Jones by the crew, Jonesy the cat was a male, and to any of us who didn't know any better would have been rightly fooled into believing that it was just a regular old tomcat. However, the truth may shock you. Jonesy, in actuality, was an android the whole time. Now, stick with me because this is actually something we have evidence for and towards, and that this is probably most likely the case. And that Jonesy's travels aboard the Nostromo have a little bit more to them than just simple rotor control. Now, shortly after waking up from his slumber in the cryopod within a pod shared by Ripley, the cat first went about the ship pacing himself out and making sure no unwanted things like rats or other rodents had made their way aboard since their exodus from Thetis back to Earth. Now, whilst he acted initially very much like a cat for the beginning of the journey of the film, it was after the point where the Xenomorph got aboard in the original Alien film that we saw the cat shift in personality. Well, in my opinion, this is because he was overtaken by the Special Order 937. At the very moment Kane was brought back aboard the Nostromo after being face-hugged, Jonesy instantly takes interest and can't seem to be kept away from him and this new alien parasite that Kane had brought back from him from their exploration of the derelict craft on the LV-426. He immediately tries to get a glimpse and touch and observe the incapacitated Kane in order to catch a glimpse of the creature. Now, while you could narrow this down to being simply a curious cat, I think there is much more devious things at play and an explanation and nature to our furry friend. As soon as the chestburster emerges, Jones catches eye of it, slithering throughout the hallways of the Nostromo, and does his best to make a hasty pursuit. However, he accidentally locks himself, or gets himself locked in a storage locker. It's not until the search party of the crew, also looking for the creature, comes along and frees him, that he is able to continue his pursuit of the creature. Eventually, when the crew member Brett comes looking for him, Jones gets his first glimpse of the creature that had intrigued him when it proceeds to kill and whisk Brett away, whilst Jones sits in his hidey hole and observes. This act can be written off as a scared little frozen cat in fear, like frozen in fear. However, I would guess that Weyland-Yutani was somehow able to see the feed from the android's eyes and then use this to investigate the creature, with the cat basically acting like a video camera on legs. The cat even investigated the skin that the creature had shed off in its development and could have been data sent back to Weyland-Yutani. Basically, Jones was put on the Nostromo to gather information about the creature and relay it back to Weyland-Yutani. Now, the real question is whether he and Ash were in cahoots, or whether Jones was simply believed that he was a cat, and secretly the company were using him to remotely gain or recover data. Neither of these ideas are outrightly dismissed or confirmed. However, the simple fact that Jones was an android is something that I can rest on as a fact. If you are still not a believer at this point, I would like to bring your attention to much later in the film, when Ripley is trying not to laugh, when Ripley is trying to launch the Narcissus from the Nostromo to escape the alien organism, now fully matured, aboard their vessel. During this time, Ripley accidentally is forced to leave Jones behind in a clear storage box in the vicinity of the Xenomorph. After Ripley makes a run for it, the alien begins to study the cat. However, interestingly enough though, the Xenomorph does not attempt to kill him. Instead, the Xenomorph turns and leaves and just knocks the box out of the way. Now, we already know that the Xenomorph is quite willing to kill almost any living creature with unrelenting hostility. However, the one group of beings we know that can survive a Xenomorph encounter and stand in their presence without consequence is an android. We see it with Ash, the working Joes on the Sevastopol station, David, etc. So with this being the case, it now makes sense why Jones was able to survive a few direct encounters with the Beast, as the Xenomorph knew he was an android and just simply left him alone. So with all these facts, I think it's all but confirmed that Jonesy the cat was really Jonesy the android the entire time. Whether he was working alone or with Ash, it is not known, but if he was under the influence of Special Order 937, then it is likely. And the cat may have even had something to do with screwing with the Narcissus' systems, leading to it drifting for so long after Ripley entered hypersleep. Whatever you believe, just remember that April Fool's Day falls on the 1st of April.